Welcome back. The time is 8 minutes past 8. Wait, no. 8 minutes to 10 before we wrap up the show. Sorry, just got a bit tongue tied there. But yeah, interesting interview that we have lined up right now. We'll be speaking to Mariam Carikci. So there's a very, very important debate that's going to be taking place. We have coined it the lucrative Muslim vote debate that will be taking place at the Al Ghazi College in Erasmia, Pretoria. This is going to be happening tomorrow, the 17th of May, 2024. At 7 p.m. It's going to be a really, really interesting one where we'll be having various political parties joining us. Confirmed political parties are the ANC, DA, EFF, Al Jama, Rise Mzansi, AM4C, and the Sun Party. So we're bringing all of these political parties, to you, the people of Pretoria. We've done this in the Western Cape, we've done this in the KZN also, and it's time to bring it to the capital, Pretoria, where we'll be putting these political parties in front of you. You'll get to ask them questions as they try to woo you and try to get your vote on the 29th of May. We'll be chatting to Mariam on that. She's a political analyst, and she's also going to be moderating and facilitating that debate. I think if you're around those areas, or if you can't make it, I think it'll be best to come out, join us, or stream it live on our various social media pages. But before we get to that, this hour of news and views is sponsored by Africa Muslims Agency. Africa Muslims Agency is a beacon of hope for communities for over 35 years in Africa and beyond. And with that being said, Mariam, welcome to Salam Media. Welcome to News and Views. Really, really excited to be chatting to you about this exciting initiative, but most importantly about the elections. We're a few weeks before what many are saying is, the most important election since the dawn of democracy in 1994. And really, really excited. How do you see them panning out? Just the lay of the land, going onto these elections.
Thank you so much, Salilo. I think, it's quite amazing in the sense that 30 years have passed. One can't quite comprehend that we've, flown by 3 decades since the dawn of democracy. What has become far more important over these past few years in particular is the concept of substantive democracy. So while we might have the ballot box as, the signifier of who's in power, we want to see substantive change in our daily lives. And I think this is where this particular election becomes really important.
And I think, for me, what stands out with these elections is there's an introduction of a whole lot of things that, in the past elections since democracy were not, present. For instance, independent candidates coming into the picture now. Do you see them making any kind of difference? South Africa historically has always been one that is dominated by party politics. It's never really about individuals. People always say the ANC is bigger than all of his leaders, and that's how things have always been. But now you have this new element of independent candidates. What are your thoughts around that?
No, 100%, Salilo. I think you've definitely hit the nail on the head in the sense that independent candidates signal something quite significant. Their impact might not necessarily be felt in this particular election as the first time, but we're likely to see the importance of independent wards growing, where we look at, the electorate looking for things like going off-grid, being more self-sustaining. Is almost a move towards kind of in an insular thinking. So it is quite an interesting trend to keep our eyes on, because we want to understand to what extent does independent candidates mean, for what extent will it impact on municipal function, for example, because as we know, as you said, the ANC is a broad church, as they like to say. But within that broad church, what is the capacity for change? So on an independent level, while ideologically it might signify, a stand against particular aspects of poor performance from the major parties, to what extent will those candidates be able to bring the substantive democracy home?
And I want us to focus, a bit on where you are, where Salam Media will be coming tomorrow. Erasmia, just how it has evolved. When it comes to how they interact with politics. Are people a bit more active than they have been? What have been the trends in recent times on who gets to govern? That part of South Africa. Just break it down for us.
Look, Tuana has been, I can remember the time when we were, back in the apartheid times, and the capital was completely segregated. So even areas like Centurion previously were called Verwoerdburgstad.
Oh.
So you had a sense of, the overwhelming presence of the state, of the apartheid state. And Tshwane has definitely, the change, the transformation has been significant. However, again, coming down to the nitty-gritty of service delivery, we see that unfortunately, particularly around areas, on the township level, where we see outside of Pretoria Central, the issues around housing. Housing is very big, and lack of access to electricity and sanitation. Those are very big issues that have actually caused the rifts between coalition governments here in Tshwane as the capital, because there's a backlash from the previous government, or the previous kind of how would you say, the previous mayor in power, and then going forward, you see that the same issues reoccur. And I think what we need to pay attention to is that Tshwane is no longer the sleepy town it used to be, in the sense of it's become a magnet for migrant workers as well. And so issues around overpopulation and transportation and so on have to be considered within that broader dynamic.
The theme of our debate is the lucrative Muslim vote. Number one, I think in this election more than before, we've seen big interest when it comes to political parties in garnering that Muslim vote. What do you think is behind this? It's a shift that I don't think we've seen before, but we're seeing it all across. People are going to Muslim populated areas trying to woo them. What's behind this trend, and is it one to celebrate, or are Muslims being used by political parties to push a certain agenda? Because it wouldn't be the first time that this strategy could have been used.
That's an excellent question, Salilo. When we discussed the topic around the debate for tomorrow, I really had to sit down and think, to what extent is calling it the Muslim vote going to be allowing us to expand the debate into our power as a demographic, or narrowing it down into kind of ethnocentric demographic. And I think what's important for us to realize is that previously, when you thought of when the word Muslim came up in the South African context, one would have thought of an Indian person typically. And it's very important for us to understand the impact that Islam has had in South Africa over the past 30 years, and the growth of it, and its dynamism with the increase in immigration from other Muslim African countries and beyond, that our demography is not homogeneous. It is a dynamic one. And interestingly, as we look towards, like we've said, the substantive part of deliverance, it is meant to be a demographic that has particular guiding principles. And it's interesting that the Gaza, unfortunately, the war in Gaza has been a platform for lots of parties, but even globally, for them to get onto the bandwagon to say, okay, we stand with Palestine, but not necessarily having performed previously. However, in the South African context, having come from apartheid and having gone through the liberation struggle, ours is a different dynamic. And so how would we sustain the solidarity that has come about through this pro-Palestinian solidarity movement? How do we sustain that in our South Africanness? So it's important for us to stand against injustice in terms of a particular issue, but how do we translate that to our South African context, and how do we overcome the gaps of citizenship that we experience on a daily basis?
I think you put it very, very eloquently there. Coming back to the debate that we'll be hosting, what are going to be some of the key features that we're going to be looking at? If someone is sitting at home, they're seeing a poster, and they're wondering whether or not they should be attending, why would it be important for them to attend? What's going to be key takeouts? At the end of the evening when they leave and go back home, and looking forward to the 29th of May.
Absolutely, Salalo. It's kind of unheard of our population to be attending an election or anything political related on a Friday night. So this obviously means that there's a lot at stake, that people are willing to come out, that we have put together such a panel for Friday night. Why they should come, I think, is because a lot of media coverage has focused on the larger issues, the grand context. And this is an opportunity for Muslim voters to ask the parties directly things that might not necessarily have been focused on in the larger media that concern their particular situation in the South African context. And more importantly, I think one has to also understand that for polling, we look at polling statistics as a guide, but South African polling agencies have actually not been mandated to explain how they do that polling. So we could be reading, statistics, and it could be completely misleading. This is an opportunity for voters to speak directly, not to be swayed by what they read in the media, but to have an opportunity to interact directly.
No, I think that's the key takeout for me also. That opportunity, a very rare opportunity, to have leaders of political parties sitting right in front of you, and you get to ask them that question one on one. But I think going to leave it there. Thank you so much, Mariam, for those insights. I know I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a very interesting one. I'll see you on Friday.
Jazakallah. Thank you, Salalo. Assalamu alaikum.
Here are the details. Pretoria, the lucrative Muslim vote debate taking place on Friday, the 17th of May, 2024, 7 p.m. The participating parties include the ANC, the Democratic Alliance, the Economic Freedom Fighters, Al Jama, Rise Mzansi, AM4C, and the Sun Party. This is going to be taking place at the Al Ghazali College in Erasmia, Pretoria. So I think this is going to be a very, very interesting one. If you're in those parts of the world, if you can't be there physically, you can live stream the debate on our various social media pages, and you can also listen to it live on our website, www.salammedia.com. And I think a very, very rare opportunity, as Mariam puts it so eloquently, that opportunity to have our political party leaders, to ask them personal questions about why should I personally, as someone that's staying in Pretoria, as a Muslim in South Africa, what are your thoughts on the various issues that are going to be affecting me personally, whether it's the Bella Bill, whether it's the NHI, whether it's, the issue of, service delivery and unemployment and corruption in the country, instead of, reading and feeling so distant and disconnected, from the news that are affecting you and from the parties and the leaders that want you to vote for them, you're going to be getting that opportunity to speak to them directly. This is an initiative of Salam Media's Election 2024 coverage, and this is a public event in partnership with the Pretoria Muslim Women's United and Lodium Today, one of the partners that are going to be joining us in making sure that this event does take place. We're going to take we're not taking a quick break. I think we've come to the end of the show. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess. We're going to be coming to the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us and sticking with us for the past 2 hours. It's been really a pleasure. Tomorrow, I'm going to be here with my team, Olani and Nasreen, the engine, the people that are making sure that, news and views is possible. But for now, it's goodbye. And if you're in Pretoria, hope we see you tomorrow at the Al Ghazali College, Erasmia, in, the capital of the country. But for now, it's goodbye. Assalamu alaikum. And really glad that you were able to keep us company here on Salam Media.